What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Frontline Film Podcast, episode 20.
Let's go.
We
That's
made it to
backwards, I
20
think.
episodes. Big milestone. Another big milestone for Landon. He just turned a quarter of a century old
Yeah, I
yesterday.
did. I did.
Happy belated birthday
Thank
to
you.
old Landon.
Yep.
What'd you do?
Um, Parents came up and I saw Final Destination was my birthday movie this year.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you kind of get spoiled with birthday movies every year,
I
being
do.
in the middle of May.
Deadpool, I've gotten once. John Wick, I've gotten twice. So yeah.
There we go. There we go. Well, yeah, so we got a fun episode for you guys today. I was out of town this past weekend, so I was not able to see Final Destination, but Landon will be talking about that. We got a bunch of really cool trailers that we want to talk about, and then obviously um, the last three episodes of Andor and the studio as well. So got a lot of fun stuff to talk to you guys about. So let's just jump right into it. I know right off the bat you had a little something you wanted to say.
All right, so we don't, this isn't a sports podcast, obviously, but this brings in kind of to the movie. So if you don't know, I'm a big Knicks fan. Fell in love with Carmelo Anthony back in like 2010, 2011, kind of like that. So I've been following the Knicks. Knicks just beat the Celtics in like a big series, in my opinion. Nobody picked us to win. It was hilarious. But what made it so fun, besides us winning in six, is Timothy Chalamet kind of went viral for just being on court, like at the court side. Like you could easily see him on TV. He was loving it, loving it, loving it. And, he's out on like 7th Avenue after the game, just with all the fans, like embracing the chaos. Um, Timothy Chalamet has to be the most likable person in Hollywood at this specific moment in time. Just when you think he can't get any more likable, he goes and does stuff like that. And me being a Knicks fan and you don't hate the Knicks, like you are enjoying watching the Knicks, like, and you love Timothy Chalamet. I love Timothy Chalamet. It's just, he's like on a generational run right now from the performance he puts on in Dune to being on College Game Day to being like the coolest person you've ever met, and now he's a Knicks fan with like I'm a Knicks fan, and he's just in the crowd, dude. He is like a
Yeah.
dude. He is a
No, dude, he's
dude.
awesome. And he,
Yeah,
he even traveled to Boston too.
yeah. And the reason I wanted to bring him up is I haven't seen the movie quite yet. It is on my like to-do list to watch. But he was doing an interview after after I watched the golf tournament. I guess it was I don't think it was 60 minutes. It was something else. And he had an interview with Anderson Cooper talking about Bob Dylan and a complete unknown. And just the way he like carried himself in that interview is just you don't really see that out of big Hollywood A-list actors because we're putting him in that category now. He is an A-list actor. Everyone knows who he is. And just the way he was saying, like, it was hilarious because he basically said, Anderson Cooper asked him, if you were in a room with Bob Dylan, today, what would you say? And Timothy, like, started and he was like, oh, I would say thank you. And he kind of sat there for a minute and he was said, no, that's bullshit. I probably just try to out cool Bob Dylan. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Like that is just funny. I this will probably be a glazing Timothy Chalamet podcast for whatever he does from now on. He doesn't give a bad performance. He is a ball knower. He is a Knicks fan, so that adds him to me.
He's
And
dating Kylie Jenner.
yeah, like he's cool as hell, and he is somebody like not a lot of Hollywood actors you would want to go get a beer with, and Timothy Chalamet is probably at the top of that list to go get a beer with, and especially like talk movies for me, talk Knicks. I mean, yeah, dude, he's just awesome. But that interview, man, like really, I think kind of like opened my eyes a little bit more because yeah, the sports side, like. You have crazy sports fans like Matthew McConaughey and Matt Damon's a huge Boston fan, like stuff like that. But to see his other side and talk about that interview and him say, I would say thank you. No, that's actually bullshit. I really wouldn't do that. I would try to outcool Bob Dylan. It's just hilarious. And I thought that was a really cool thing. I need to get around to watching that because it was showing clips from that movie, and he just looks like he just gives one of the best performances of recent memory.
Yeah, no, you definitely need to check it out. I think it just got put on Hulu or something. So
Hmm.
yeah. I actually just listened to it a couple weeks ago. I've recently like gotten onto Theo Vaughn. I listen to him a lot now. And He had Timmy C on in December when A Complete Unknown came out. Really, really good episode. And yeah, he's just like one of those guys you just want to like hang out with and talk. He really loves making movies and he wants
Yep.
to like he is open about like he wants to be better than everybody
Yeah.
else. I respect.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, shout out Timmy C. We love him. Timmy C fan podcast.
For sure.
For sure. So, um, now that we got that out of the way, we got a bunch of big trailers this week. And the first probably being the biggest, we got the next. I guess this is a second official trailer for Superman, which comes out in July, directed by James Gunn. I gotta say, I was already hyped after the first trailer. This next one, this most recent trailer was great. It
Hmm.
was very, very good. You saw a little bit more of him, and some speaking lines and some stuff between him and Lois, and then, some clips of some of the other characters that are going to be in it, um, with the score just blaring in the background. So I don't know, man. I think it looks great. All the haters need to shut up. And people are like, it looks too colorful. The color grading looks weird. No, it doesn't. Like, it's a comic book movie. You want it to be bright and colorful. That's why we love Suicide Squad so much because it was just so out there and colorful and weird. Um, yeah, dude. No, I'm pumped for this.
Yeah.
Even so,
Yeah, we were already, like you said, we were already pumped. We are big, just comic book movie fans in general. But Superman, you and me, we like Man of Steel. It's not a bad movie. We think it gets a little bit too much hate. I think we have differing opinions on Batman versus Superman, which is fine, like whatever. And I do not like dislike Zack Snyder. So all the people who are like, they're picking one. You either like James Gunn or you like Zack Snyder. It's just a weird thing to do. You can like both. There's nothing wrong with that. And the success of a Superman movie is not going to downplay like how good Henry Cavill was as Superman. So like just enjoy what comes out because they're both different artistic styles. And we know that. If you watch movies, you know that Zack Snyder's is completely different from James Gunn. That's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But the discourse on Twitter of them two just going back and forth is a joke. And I think it's like not helping anything. You're like making people not want to watch Zack Snyder's Man of Steel at the same time, you're not making them want to go see the new Superman. Like they're hoping it flops. And I don't, if you like movies, why would you even hope for that? You want this movie to make $1 billion if it can. Do I think it'll make $1 billion? I mean, Superman would be the one to do it. It's going to be very tough because I don't think Minecraft has officially surpassed $1 billion yet. So, but I say all that to say this looks like a ton of fun. I cannot wait. Um, I personally enjoyed the little Green Lantern Guy Gardner just
oh, the hand
slapping the
slap.
the
Yeah,
hand. I think it's cool. I know some comments on Twitter were hating on it. Like again, the whole reason they're hating on it is stupid. Um, but no, I agree with you. The color gradient is very, very cool. It's different. We have seen Henry Cavill Superman, who took a little bit more of a darker
darker.
approach in color, not like overall, just a darker approach. And this one can work too. I think the suit looks really good. I think that he sounds and looks very good as Superman, and as well as Clark Kent. Like he does both very well. I think this movie's gonna be a hit. I really do. I think that everything points to this being a really, really good Superman movie. I think Superman is freaking sick. A lot of people think he's kind of boring. I think he's a very cool comic book character. Clark Kent is awesome, and hopefully they play into some more things that maybe people don't know about his powers. But yeah, no, dude, I am super, super pumped. And it is like same thing with Thunderbolts, same thing with F1 as we creep towards it, and Fantastic Four. The more trailers that we see about these movies is getting me more and more excited. I would say that marketing has done like a great job with trailers this year. Sometimes you kind of like overplay it or underplay different movies, but we could go on and on around like down the list about other trailers that we're going to talk about. But Superman in general, I think has done a great job, even with the 5 minute preview that they put on Twitter. Like it's just really, really good. I love what they're doing. You are DC and Marvel is doing a great job right now. And besides the Ironheart stuff, the really late trailer, which we'll talk about that trailer in a minute. But I think DC and Marvel is doing a really good job with their movie trailers right now. Even Peacemaker was really good. So
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. My one single, and it's probably a stupid worry, but my one single worry about Superman is that there are, it seems to be a lot of different characters in this movie, which is cool. We know James Gunn can handle, big ensemble casts and a lot of different characters, but like, I want a Superman movie. I don't want these characters to be like super important in the movie. Maybe if they, they just show up briefly, but that's my only worry. But I think James Gunn will, he understands that balance. So
I think I think me and you have kind of talked about it. We kind of think that these uh Hawk Girl and Green
Mr.
Lantern and all them,
Terrific,
Mr. Terrific, huh? Yeah, they
yeah,
might
Mr.
show up at the
Terrific,
beginning and like set the world up because we do know that DC is kind of an already like there's gonna be superheroes that are already there. I'm pretty sure Hawk Girl is like immortal. She's like keeps coming back. Like in the comics, she's an immortal character, so she never dies. And of course, Green Lantern, there's many different Green Lanterns, which we're gonna get in the DCU. Um that I understand your worry, but I almost have gotten to the point like they're showing us so much of it that I kind of think that we're gonna get them at the very beginning and kind of set up the world of DC around it, and then we'll get like a Superman movie like after that.
yeah,
Do they have a runtime for this movie yet?
no,
Okay.
no, they
Um,
did they did announce the runtime for F1.
I didn't see that.
Like it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Let's
Golly, dude.
go.
But yeah, no, I know we spend a lot of time on Superman. It's just one that I get very like hyped up about because I think he's a really cool character. Him, Batman, and Wonder Woman are such a big three that, like their big three probably in regular media, like comic book media and everything, is bigger than Marvel's. So, I mean, they're more recognizable. And when you can have a Superman movie, also, like you said, with an amazing sounding score, I think this can be a hit. This can be a $1 billion movie. But a lot of people know Superman too. Like when you think of a comic book character, Superman is very early that comes to mind. So,
Yep. No, for sure. Very, very excited. I know you took that in your draft, and I know it's going to be good. So, yeah, July's freaking stacked. It's unbelievably stacked. But, so that's Superman. We also got the very first trailer for Nobody 2, the sequel to Nobody, which came out in, I believe it was 2021 or 2022. You did not see it, right? It is basically, I mean, as you know, you've seen clips and stuff of it. It's basically just John Wick meets like Home Alone.
yep.
But it's basically John Wick, but like a lot sillier and
Yeah.
funnier. Um, he's just like a family man who like used to be, he used to be in the military or something. I don't entirely remember. Or special forces, and somebody like breaks into his house, and then he goes and like beats on the people that did it, and then a whole gang like goes crazy on him, and he just kills them all in wild ways. But really, really funny. I This is not a movie I ever thought we would get a sequel to. Kind of similar to Den of Thieves and The Accountant, which we have talked about this year. This is another one of those movies like I would have never thought. But they released the new trailer. Bob Odenkirk is back. His name is Hutch. I don't remember his last name, but I just remember his name being Hutch. He's on vacation with his family, and he just he's trying to stay away from that world after his family found out in the first one, and obviously that's just not going to happen. So they're coming for him on vacation, and he's going to go crazy. You think? I mean, do you think you'll ever watch the first one
Oh
before
yeah,
it
yeah.
comes
No,
out?
I remember when you sent the trailer or somebody sent the trailer. And I was like, man, you really need to watch the first one because the second one just looks great. And I love Bob Odenkirk. I am just like I love him so much. Um I I will definitely watch the first one. I was so interested when it came out. But unfortunately that was like one movie I did not get to. And that year, I can't remember if that
That
was
was
21 or
still like
22.
kind of released, kind of when COVID was still a
Yeah.
thing. So like
Yeah, I just didn't get to that one. Which I was very interested when that trailer came out too. You love movies like that, and I'm pretty sure the first one is like the reviews are really good for it too. So I would imagine that, Odenkirk is going to be just as good as in this one, and this one's going to be kind of like a, like when you kind of do the Home Alone element to it, in the second one they go to New York and you have the Home Alone in New York, and this one's going to be funny because you kind of get like a John Wick slash Home Alone, like you said, but at a different spot other than the house.
Last National
Yeah,
Lampoon
and it's
Vacation.
funny. Yeah, it's funny. I think that I hope that it like kind of is more outrageous because you kind of explained the first one to me after you saw it, like kind of kind of out there sometimes, and I hope this one's like just as out there. Um, so I'm excited. I will definitely watch the first one. I think it's on something. So I'll have to find it, watch that, and then of course get Nobody too. So
Yep, and that comes out in August, I believe. So not too long.
another summer
Uh,
movie.
yeah, dude. Yeah, no. So I obviously I'd seen Breaking Bad before I saw the first Nobody, but shortly after watching Nobody, um, I watched all of Better Call Saul, and I have like a way more, you know, newfound love of Bob Odenkirk. He is unreal in Better Call Saul. Um, Genuinely incredible. I can't believe you haven't watched it yet because I know you love Breaking Bad, but I think one of these days you definitely need to watch because he is unreal. So it's good to see him back. I feel like we haven't really seen him in anything much other than that episode of The Bear, and then
He's in Little Women for like 10
oh yeah,
minutes.
he is. He is in Little Women.
For
Uh,
like 10 minutes.
yeah. So yeah, good to see him back on the big screen. We love Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
So that is Nobody 2. Um, the next trailer we wanted to talk about, we got the first little trailer for The Bear season 4. Um, Coming out literally next month, all 10 episodes dropping at once, as they do every year. I mean, we didn't get much from the trailer, but other than the fact it looks like the restaurant might be in trouble and is going to get shut down. So obviously, things are going to be wild. We get a little glimpse of pretty much all the main characters in the trailer, and Richie and Carmi and all of them. So, dude, I can't wait. It's so refreshing that this drops every year, like 4 years in a row, because TV just doesn't do that anymore. They take 2 or 3 years in between everything, and they drop it all at once. It's just, I love it. I love it. I love it. I absolutely cannot wait. And it's only like a month away, so very, very excited to talk about that when it comes out.
Cannot wait. This is a show that I don't know, man. It's just so different, I feel like you get it just feels so real. I don't know. It's hard to explain because if you haven't seen it, then you've definitely heard the hype about it. And if you have seen it, you definitely understand. There's some episodes in there, man, that just are like gut-wrenchingly like real, dude. And I love that. This is like Cole said, dropping every year does not happen ever. I mean, we're getting to year 10 or 11 of Stranger Things, and we've only had like 5 seasons. And I don't even watch that show religiously like y'all do. So, like, and I know that like every episode's supposed to be a movie, which I hate because at that point, just put out movies. That's just my opinion. And you'll get people to the theaters. That's all I'm saying. But the studio is a great example because I think you can get the studio like every year, and that's kind of like a comparison, comparable like TV show. So if we can get like the Bear every year and the studio every year, dude, like we're gonna be, I'm okay with that. Like there's
Maybe like the pit as well. I
yeah,
think
yeah, the
all they were
pit,
going to try to.
perfect. Like example, I think the pit is already renewed. They have like the structure set up for season two. So like the studio got renewed. We're gonna have to see how this season of the Bear ends. Hopefully, we get another season of that. Yeah, no, dude, the Bear's awesome. Cannot wait. Jeremy Allen White, man, Ayo Edeberry, of course, cousin. Like everybody, Tina, Marcus, they're just all so likable. Hopefully, we get a couple like John Bernthal episodes too, because he's awesome in that.
Yep. Cousins about to have a big summer.
He is. He is. Yeah.
Um, I can't wait to see him as the thing. It's just still so weird to me, but we'll just have to see. Speaking of Marvel, we finally got the first trailer for Ironheart. Um, a show that's been, God, announced for 4 or 5 years up to this point. Um, didn't know if it was even going to happen. I mean, it's literally like a month to release, and we just got the first trailer.
We
It
talked
was,
about it last episode.
yeah,
We
we
talked
did.
about it and saying we did not have a trailer.
Yeah, it was like the shortest gap in between the release of a first trailer and the release of, a project from Marvel. So like that's like a bunch of red flags right there. Like it almost you're like, oh, it's gonna get delayed again, or oh, Disney's scared to put out the trailer because they just know it's gonna be horrible. Um, I don't know, but we finally got the first trailer. I gotta say, doesn't look horrible. I'm gonna keep my expectations kind of low though, because I don't know. I could just kind of see it being in the same vein as like, I don't know, Miss Marvel or something like that, or She-Hulk. Well, we enjoyed Miss Marvel, but um, just it's nice to have, grounded elements that we've been liking a lot recently, but I just don't think I really care much about this character. She was cool in Wakanda Forever, but I just don't know if I need a whole show about her. But outside of that, I think the visual effects here were dang near the best looking from any of the shows up to this point. The seeing her actually like get into the suit and not it just be nanotech was looked great. The stuff with her flying looked great. Um, yeah, I mean it looks like it could be a fun time. We love Anthony Ramos, who we got a little bit of a taste of as the Hood. I'm excited to see him in a villain role. I think that's something he can do well in. And then obviously, we didn't even know until like last week, but it is executive produced by Ryan Coogler, who is the hottest dude, the hottest director, producer in Hollywood right now.
No, you could have stopped after the hottest dude.
Yeah, yeah, hottest
He's got a
dude.
thick mustache.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, he's on a tear right now with Sinners, so to have his name like, in front of this trailer, I think gives it a major boost. And it gives me a little more faith in the project. The story doesn't necessarily look phenomenal, and like I said, it's a character I don't know if I really need to have a whole show about, but I do think I do think the trailer was better than what I was expecting. That's all I can say. What did you think?
The suit looks outstanding. I was very impressed. And
Looks
you
like
got the shot.
old school Iron
Yeah,
Man.
you got the shot of her basically like making a like crater in the pavement, which is something we haven't had in God knows how long. The MCU. I will say this. I think Riri Williams as a character was done a disservice. This is a character almost you have to put in the same vein as like Peter Parker, like Tom Holland's Peter Parker, how Tony is like very like as a mentor. That's who he is to Riri Williams in the comics. And she's very interesting. She's a genius. And they kind of did her a disservice because she's almost like just inspired by Tony Stark's tech, but didn't really get mentored by Tony Stark, if that makes sense. And I wonder if they'll give us some stuff like saying that she was mentored by him a little bit, like in the show. But she is a very interesting character. I like Dominique Thorne. I thought she was good in Wakanda Forever. I thought her and Shuri like were interesting when they were together. But again, like that was kind of at the point where I think Marvel Studios had a little bit too much hands on with that project. So Wakanda Forever, lacked in some areas that probably could have been a little bit better. I think Riri probably took a little bit of that blow. Um, Again, though, like we get Anthony Ramos as a villain, and I think he's out. He's awesome. We love him. And the guy that plays Solo is also in this. I don't know how to say
Alden
Alden.
Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's also in this, and we know he can act. Saw him in Oppenheimer. He was great. So like they got some names in this project, and with Ryan Coogler having a hand in making this, I think it is go. I agree with you. Like the story might be a little like lackluster, but I think we might get some pretty good character development from Riri. Hopefully, I think she's very interesting, and me being a nerd and reading the comics, like she is interesting in the comics. She's a very interesting character, because of what role she plays in a lot of the Avengers stuff. So hopefully, she's very fleshed out in the show. And I think this is a good, like we would never want an Ironheart movie. So the fact that they're making this a show is very, very telling. I think it's very smart. Hopefully they let, um, some of the people shine in this show. I really hope so. But yeah, no, the visuals we have clowned Marvel in the recent years about visual effects, but this one was not anything like that. Yeah, I think me and you did get tired of the nanotech. It was like it was cool like the first time you saw it, but then you're like, dude, it's not as cool anymore. Like we don't care about all the nanotech. We want to see people suit up the right way. So definitely agree with you there. I'm excited. This will be one that I I think I have a little bit higher expectations than you. But people who are cautious about it are smart as well. Because I mean, only a month ahead of the actual show, we get in the trailer. Like that's scary.
Yeah. I know we're getting the first three episodes are dropping, and people are saying because it's a six episode series. People are saying the next three are just going to drop the next week. They're just going to drop them in two, 3 episode chunks, kind of like Andor.
Come
Uh,
on now, love that.
that's not 100% confirmed, but the first three are dropping week one. So um, I guess
Okay with
that'll
that.
tide us over for
Well,
Marvel.
remember that we do get Fantastic Four like 3 weeks later or two
Yeah,
weeks later. So yeah, they're probably gonna have that out before.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, looks like it could be a good fun time. Um, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be anything groundbreaking, but could be fun. So yeah, we'll just have to see. Um, Another big piece of Marvel news. Um, Obviously, it's been teased for a while. I've been seeing stuff on Twitter and people have been speculating, but it has officially been confirmed that Christian Ritter will be returning as Jessica Jones in season two of Daredevil Born Again, which is awesome. Um, so sick. She was fantastic in that role. Um, I've seen her in some other stuff and other than like Breaking Bad, but um, I don't think any. I think she just like she is Jessica Jones. She's not that great in some other things I've seen her in, but she's great in that show. She's great in that role. So it's good to see her back. And this leads me to believe, yo, what if we get Luke Cage back? What if we get Iron Fist back? Just saying.
Um, this was like this kind of confirms like when we talked about the finale that they were just gonna go all out in season two. It just kind of confirms it again. I will be very excited to see her again. Hopefully that means Luke Cage, like you said, is coming back. If we get Danny Rand as Iron Fist back, like I'm not gonna like complain about that either. That show gets I think some hate as well. But no, if we get to see like that group back together, um, instead of like the thing that they teased at the end of season two, where it's just a bunch of cops and like lawyers and policemen and stuff like that. Like, hopefully it's better than that. I would love to see Luke Cage. I would love to see Jessica Jones. I mean, I assume we're gonna see Punisher again too. So like, you know, I just,
Yeah,
I don't know. God, it makes me so mad what they did with that finale. It just still does.
yeah. But I was I'm hoping she doesn't really get the Punisher treatment from like this season. Obviously we got him that awesome episode, the first one we saw him in, where he sees him in like that, that basement or whatever. And then he's in the finale and he messes some people up and it's really cool. But like I wanted him to have a more important piece in the season and he just really didn't. So I'm wondering if she's going to be treated that same way or if she's going to actually have a more like more involved role. I think that's all we can hope for. But yeah, super cool that they're bringing even more of the Netflix people back. Would love to see Mike Coulter back as Luke Cage or um, I forgot his name that plays Iron Fist, but he's in Game of Thrones as well. Um, yeah, so we'll just have to see. Um, so that is all of the trailers and news. Uh, Also, we wanted to talk about the studio before we jump into Andor. Andor's going to take a while,
Yeah.
but we've been talking the studio every week, and it's almost coming to an end. This was episode 9. Um, they're at CinemaCon, um, which we just talked about a couple weeks ago in real life. Um, yeah, they have a whole lot of movies to announce and things lined up and trailers and cast members and directors and all these things. Um, Matt's very, very excited. He's throwing a big party with drugs and alcohol and all this stuff, just going over the top because obviously, like he's the whole show, he's just been obsessed with people liking him, and this is his chance to finally get people to like him. But then, of course, in typical studio fashion, everything falls apart. Um, he finds out that the company might be getting sold to Amazon, which would mean they would all lose their jobs. all this crazy stuff. I really enjoyed this episode. I think the two cameos this episode, other than Scorsese, I think they were the best two cameos of the whole season. I think Dave Franco, every time he was on screen, I was cackling.
Hmm.
So funny. He plays that degenerate, just drunk role so well. We've seen him do it in so many different movies. And then Zoe Kravitz last week, we didn't really like her, but this week she did like definitely like a more comedy
Yeah.
route. Whereas last week she was like mean. But yeah, dude, in this one when she was tripping, it was really funny. What'd you think?
Nah, dude, this was probably like laugh wise, probably one or two. I mean, this was the most I laughed in an episode. I thought Kravitz and Franco were absolutely hilarious. Yeah, she was like, how much is in this? And he was like, he's like a quarter of a gram, and Dave Franco's like quarter of a gram. No, it's a quarter of an ounce. And she goes, I ate three. Am I gonna die? Am I gonna be okay? And him and Sal are trying not to freak her out and everything, and everybody's doing like shrooms, cocaine. They're drunk. It is just really funny. And they have a gigantic day for their presentation the next day for Continental Studios. I think it's hilarious. It makes you wonder like why they were doing that the night before, not the night after. But it does make for like a really funny episode. Um, and the funniest part to me was when Zoe Kravitz, or he walks back in after, leaving Zoe Kravitz for like 30 to 45 seconds. And she just goes on this whole spiel about how he was gone so long and that she thinks she's sober now and that she's ready to present. And Seth is like, I've been gone for 30 seconds. Like, and she's like, oh my God. Like, I was just cracking up. And then the thing at the end, I think is like very crazy. We get what's her name, Patty Lee in the show, um basically is trying to
Sabotage them.
sabotage. Yeah, exactly. And she gets Bryan Cranston's character like outside, and it's daytime at that point, and he is just absolutely just like probably still messed up, and he throws up in the trash can. She calls that journalist and is like, hey, if you want a story, like, come to the front of this place right now, I got it for you. And you can see like she smirks. I was like,
Yeah, I was kind of confused on that too, but um, you could tell that she didn't really, I mean, she hadn't really liked him and she's worked with him for so long and I think didn't get that respect from him. So it's kind of like, you know, a little revenge thing
yep,
going on. But yeah, Bryan Cranston was also really funny this episode. It's weird because we're used to seeing, I mean, when I think of Bryan Cranston, I think of Walter White, serious, dark, evil, but then seeing him drunk and acting like an idiot and, stumbling all over Vegas, really, really funny.
yep,
And I also think it is cool that this is the first episode they've done that's actually going to tie into the next
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
It had it to be continued. So next week's the finale is called the presentation, where they have
And
to give
it's
their presentation after this crazy night of partying.
it's a short episode. I think it's 24 minutes.
The finale?
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
short.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they can get it together in 24 minutes. But
maybe.
um, overall, we've both been loving this every week. I really don't think there's been one bad episode. There was maybe one or two that weren't as strong, but me and you have definitely laughed in every single
Mhm.
episode. We've gotten great cameos in every single episode. Seth Rogen is killing it. I forget the guy's name that plays Sal, but
Ike, some
Ike
Barinholtz.
Barinholtz.
Yeah,
Ike Barinholtz. He's so good. Catherine Hahn was really funny in this episode too. Dude, everyone. I mean, it's firing on all cylinders. It got announced for season two. I want more of this. I love it. I love like stuff about Hollywood and
yeah.
stuff about movie making. And yeah,
And
Re-
every cameo feels like perfect in my opinion. Like
yo,
they get like the perfect people to play the characters, as themselves, obviously. But like you could go down the list with Scorsese and Anthony Mackie and Zac Efron, and like the list goes on and on and on. Zoe Kravitz in back-to-back episodes,
Adam Scott last
Adam
week.
Scott, Dave Franco. I mean, like literally everybody I feel like has played like a really good role, and they've like fit it perfectly. And they're kind of playing into like I feel like who they are as a person. And it's like, oh yeah, like go be yourself out there. And it just feels like it doesn't feel forced, the cameos.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like everything feels like it fits perfectly with what's actually going on. So, Really, really loving that. Excited to see how they wrap it up. To be continued. So we will see.
Yeah.
All right. The moment that I know we've both been waiting to talk to each other about. We got the last three episodes ever of Andor. The last three episode chunk. Obviously, last week's chunk was just unreal. The whole like massacre on Gorman and the whole Mon Mothma like extraction episode. Um, Literally two of the best hours of Star Wars content we've ever gotten. And me and you were both very excited to see how they followed that up and wrapped it up. And dude, I think they absolutely nailed it. All three of these episodes were great. And we can kind of talk about each one. Uh, the first one surprised me with how much I liked it because Andor was not even in it. It was just a backstory for Luthen and Clea and to see kind of how they got started. And you kind of find out that the rebellion wasn't even necessarily Luthen's idea. It was young Clea's, which was a really cool kind of a twist, sort of. But, it made perfect sense. Um, Really, really cool to see their backstory. And then the next two episodes were Andor going to rescue Clea from Coruscant after she had broken into the medical facility um, and bombed it. And yeah, and then the last episode just kind of, wraps that all up and kind of, wraps up everybody's storylines. You kind of get a definite ending for like all of them. Um, and yeah, dude, just really, really, really good stuff. I think it's like the first, I think I saw on IMDb, it's the first show ever to have five episodes in a row be ranked 9.5 or higher, which is sick. No show, not even like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones did that.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. Unreal, unreal show. I have not talked to you at all about these last three episodes. What did you think, Mr. Star Wars?
Yeah. Let's go a little bit like episode by episode. So let's start with the first one. I thought the first one is just this is what makes these characters so just important. I mean, we didn't realize how much like Clea really believed in this rebellion until this season, like midway. We were like, okay, she's like in it. Like she believes like full wholeheartedly. This is her, like, this is everything to her. And we know her and Luthen are close, but we don't know like how close. This episode, man, is just like about sacrifice and doing it for the greater cause and what you really believe in and why is she the way, like, why is she with Luthen? Like, why does she believe so strongly in this? And this episode is beautiful, man. Like Clea should not be a character that we talk about a lot, but throughout this season, she has been a cornerstone. Yeah, you gotta find her name in real life. Do you know
I'm
it?
looking it up right now.
She is outstanding. Clea is one of probably now my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. She is awesome. Do you have it?
Elizabeth Dulao.
Yeah, she is incredible. Her and Luthen's whole like relationship just is perfect. Because when, Luthen I mean, even the opening scene, like Dedra is with Luthen. Like we think like, okay, how is this gonna go? Luthen is cornered, the building is surrounded, and Dedra is she knows everything. She has him in a corner and he is a martyr at the end of the day. Like he dies before he gives any information. Dedra tries to save her. Dedra kind of gets in trouble, which we'll talk about probably in a minute. But Cleo does the one thing like when she was going in there to the hospital, I thought she was going to like try to break him out. Like I thought she was gonna go like try to find a way to save him. But it is so obvious that this whole episode, she knows she is going to have to kill him. So he does not answer any questions. So they get nothing out of him. And when we talk about ultimate sacrifice for like, this is a person that is a father to her. She loves Luthen and she has to kill him for the greater good of what her belief system is. And if that doesn't like kind of symbolize what the rebellion is about. Giving up and sacrificing everything you believe in for, or everything you care about for something you believe in. It's writing at its peak, and it's what Star Wars, it's what has made me fall in love with Star Wars, like through Andor. You get a bunch of characters that, let's be honest, like if you would have told us we were getting an episode about the, or like a series about these characters, a lot of people would be like, okay, why? Like, why should we care? These are some of the most interesting and best characters in Star Wars media to date. And there's multiple in this series that get like shot, like get their moment in this season alone. This is the best like season of any Star Wars media that we've gotten, and it's not relatively close. Like not close. You could argue maybe like season one of Mando or the last season of Clone Wars. It just doesn't do like what this does. You get different arcs that are leading up. Like this was supposed to be a 5 season series. This is what it was pitched as, 4 to 5 seasons. And in the second season alone, we have to go through 5 years of stuff. Like that is a lot of time, but they do it so perfectly. It is just unbelievable what they do. And this like kicking off the final arc is sad, dude. Like it is like, dude, Clea gave everything, and she had to kill her father basically to keep the rebellion safe. And a lot of people wouldn't do that. We know selfish people like in Star Wars that would not do that, and she made the ultimate sacrifice to keep everyone safe.
Yep. Yeah, no, she was obviously she was in the first season. Probably didn't really think too much of her, but I don't think you really were supposed to. And she obviously like this season had much more of a bigger role than especially in this last arc. I feel like this last arc, revolved around her.
Yeah.
Um, she was unbelievable in all 3 episodes. Um, and I don't know if you saw, dude, this is her first ever
Yeah.
acting credit ever,
Yes. We've
which
gotten
is just,
two in the past month or people like that. We got
oh yeah,
Sinners.
Miles Catan, yep.
Yeah, and now Andor. Like these people are like they steal the show. They're not the A-list actors that are everyone's supposed to be like, oh yeah, look who's in this show. These are people that are like technically no name, and they are like, actually, we're the best actor in this series.
Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, so in that episode it's so cool how it flashes back and forth between her and Luthen when she's young into like, her breaking into the hospital to go kill him. And I thought the whole like sequence of her breaking in was really well done. Felt very like Mission Impossible-esque. Just because that's been on my mind a lot recently, getting ready for the new one. But yeah, no, her breaking in and getting in that yellow like nurse's fit and tricking everybody was really really cool. Um, and yeah, so she ends up she pulls the plug on Luthen at the end of that episode, and obviously she blew up the a big chunk of the hospital, which was occupied by a bunch of the Empire. Um, so she runs off to the safe house, and that is what the whole next episode is about. She's in the safe house. She finds an old like communicating device where she's able to like send a distress signal um, to Andor. It actually Willman hears it first.
His
Back on
girlfriend,
Yavin.
his
Huh?
girlfriend hears it vibrating under
Yeah,
the
his
bed.
girlfriend. Yeah, his
Yep.
girlfriend hears it back on Yavin, and he's like, "What is this?" And Cassian's like drunk playing poker. Um, and he gets it, and they decipher it or whatever, and he's like, "Well, I gotta go get Luthen," because he doesn't know, at that point. Um, he's like, "I need to go save him. This has to be Luthen," but it's actually Clea in the safe house, waiting it out. Meanwhile, the Empire is like slowly inching toward the truth and what actually happened and who it was. Um, that whole second episode was very, very tense. You find Andor and his little squad and K2SO, and they arrive on Coruscant and have to break into where the safe house is to get Clea out. And right about that same time, that is when Krennic and Dedra they all find out who Clea is or who the girl was, that broke into the hospital. Um, very, very tense episode. Some cool stuff with K2SO. He was really funny in but the last 2 episodes. Um, yeah, I think I think it was like the most tense because I could kind of tell that the episode was about to end and like they were creeping down the hallway and I was like, okay, this is building up to a great finale. And then it ends, and then it leads you right into the finale, um, which was very, very cool.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it from the first the I keep saying the first episode. The first episode from that arc is that we find out that the insider Young, who has been working kind of with Dedra as a, double agent, and he tells Luthen like he's freaking out, man. He has found something huge. And I think everybody kind of in Star Wars knew what he was talking about. But of course, like these characters have never even known about this. They would have had no idea. And the Death Star is something from the first Star Wars you ever turn on is something you know about. You know what the Death Star is. So to hear that and like, people freaking out about
Hear
it,
the
like,
panic, yeah.
yeah, like you're like, oh, this is awesome because we know what this is. And of course, Dedra, goes to try and confront Luthen and arrest him, but he ends up killing himself, so she gets in trouble for that. I will say in that second episode where Dedra is having the meeting with Krennic, or the interrogation, more like, Ben Mendelsohn, man, is outstanding. He has been, here and there throughout the series, but I mean, Ben Mendelsohn is somebody that we, have seen in a lot of movies, and when we've seen him, I feel like he's always good. And he's either in Ready Player One as Sorrento, or Orson Krennic in Star Wars. Like I I just think that scene is very well done because Dedra is somebody who's been very loyal to the Empire, and to have Krennic in the matter of 10 minutes basically make her nothing is just how the Empire works, man. I mean, he puts his hands on her and like literally threatens her, and that is what the rebellion is fighting. And I think that's what makes it all encompassing of like people doing anything they can to like fight this empire. And also I think a really good like portion, or a really good moment in that episode, is when Andor hears the distress signal for the first time. Andor is willing to drop whatever he is doing and go straight to Coruscant like immediately. And that's how highly Andor believes in Luthen. And we get the scene that we'll talk about in the third episode where, the leaders of the rebellion at that time are kind of doubting Luthen. But what we know is that he is all in. He has always been all in. And what we found out about the episode before, like why he is all in, this episode just does a great job of like Andor believes in him. Clea believed everything that she did. And now Andor's finding out about the Death Star for the first time. And we know what he's about to do in Rogue One. So the episode like is a perfect bridge from Clea's episode to, okay, where is this going to go? We have one more episode left of these characters before Rogue One. Like, what is supposed to happen? And that episode does a great job. Like you said, we get a great job, or a great deal with K2, who is awesome in this episode. His sarcastic comments is something I didn't think I would miss, but I obviously did. He's awesome. And yeah, Clea again is outstanding. And I think this one, like finding out how much the Empire sucks again. Like, of course, we don't need like reinforcement of that because we know they suck. But to realize like Dedra is nothing to them. Dedra is nothing. And Dedra, like to everyone else, like in multiple episodes, like she's coming after us. She's going to get us. But in the grand scheme of things, she means nothing to the Empire. She's disposable.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Like you said, it was a good episode. That the second episode was a good one that like tied the two together. And then I love how this one literally just opened up right where the last one left off, of them like marching down the hallway to Andor and Clea and his friend. I think his name's like Melshi or something. Um, which I rewatched Rogue One after, and Melshi is in Rogue One. I did not remember him. So that was a cool little tie-in. But anyways, they're in the safe room. The Empire, they're marching down the hallway. You think they're screwed. Um, I think Melshi like popped out to see, or they were
Yeah.
about to leave, and then he was like, "Oh God," and backed up, and it's a really really cool gunfight. And it looks like Andor and them might be screwed, but obviously K2 comes up the elevator and just beats all of them. It was
Yeah.
so funny. Um, it was really, really good. And I mean, that was really just like the first 5 or 10 minutes of this episode. this whole episode was like, I mean, other than that, there was not like any action. It was just kind of wrapping up the story that these characters, you know, have this adventure they've been on for the last, 5 or 6 years, however long it's been. Um, yeah, like you said, the stuff like with the council, with Mon Mothma, with her new haircut, um,
Bail Organa
and Bail Organa, and the other dude who is also in Rogue One. I can't remember his name, but I think you probably know who I'm talking about. But all of the leaders, like, they don't believe Cassian.
Admiral Akbar is also in there. I forgot
Akbar,
that.
yep, yep. They don't believe Cassian. They think he's full of it, or Luthen was full of it, or Clea was lying.
Or bad intel, like
Yeah, they don't. They're not fully bought in um, on what he's telling them. And they eventually like they vote on it, and Mon Mothma's like, "I'm sorry, like you didn't win the vote. Majority rules, and um, they lost it. So, but obviously, like knowing the events of Rogue One and knowing all of everything that they've been through in Andor up to this point, I mean, they're still going to go do it anyways. Um, but yeah, dude, just really, really, really just unreal show that makes me look at not only Rogue One, but like the entire original trilogy differently now, knowing like how it started and like just a couple stories of like what they went through to get to that point. Just so, so good. And I think um I think it I think it wrapped the final shot was like got me. So the final shot of the whole show, um, you get your first look back at Bix, who you haven't seen since she left at the end of, last week's arc. Um, you get her walking. She looks like she's back on that wheat planet. I don't remember what it was called, but it pans around and she's holding a baby, and it's just, obviously implied that that's his. So like if you've seen Rogue One, obviously he dies at the end of that. Um, but knowing that like he now has like a legacy after him is very, very cool, and I thought a great way uh to wrap that show up for sure. What did you think?
yeah, the shots of kind of just everybody, that we have grown to love. And the ones who were alive still, from Vale to Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, to uh Bix and Cassian walking through the forest, knowing that, well, we know that this is going to be his last mission. This is it. Like, from a character that we didn't think that we wanted a television show about, becoming one of the best written Star Wars characters ever. I put him up there with like Ahsoka Tano and, you know, people. I'll say this from people not in the like original Star Wars like line, the movies. So Andor, obviously Ahsoka Tano, I think needs to be in that as well. And I'm blanking on a few, but like those two especially. I didn't think I would care so much about Cassian Andor. From what he's been on, where we found him in the first episode of the first season, to what he has gone through, and he had every right to walk out and be done. I mean, he has lost friends, he has lost family, he has lost people he's cared about deeply, and to see him really believe what he's fighting for and really like even after Bix left, he could have been done. Could have walked out. But he found new meaning and new like a reason to keep fighting. And from characters like Luthen and Clea and the list goes on and on, even from like Dedra and Cyril with the Empire, the microscope of what's going on, which we've never gotten before, is outstanding. I Andor is exactly what Star Wars can be. We know that they can do this. We know they have stories like this all lined up. There's so much to be explored. And this is in the Skywalker saga, and there's not one mention of a Skywalker. There's not one mention. You get Palpatine. a handful of times, but even then, they don't harp on it. I love the fact that we didn't get like a Jen or so like uh whatchamacallit, like cameo.
Cameo.
It's not important in this story right now. She's important in Rogue One. And that's when we find her. And I applaud Gilroy for this. I think that he did an outstanding job for something that he pitched as a 5 season series to do it in two, the way he did it, to make us care for like a wide cast of characters so much and so deeply. I mean, dude, we're getting like episodes about one person that we were like, did we really care about them? And we find out that we do. I mean, the fact that Clea is stealing the show is just goes to show you how good Clea is written as a character. Vale earlier in the season, from Dedra and Cyril to, of course, Andor stealing the show. I mean, this is just great. I've been ranking kind of the TV shows that I've watched of the seasons that have come out this year, and I put this at number one. I have it over Severance season two. There were like, is every episode perfect in the series? No, it's not. But like you said, the last five are peak. I mean, I will watch them again and again, and I have like the itch to watch Rogue One is high. Like it's like a drug that I need to take like right now.
You didn't
Um,
watch it right after?
no, because I like finished it today. Like I watched it
Oh,
today.
yeah.
Um, I will be watching Rogue One very soon. I'll probably watch the original trilogy as well. But no, Andor, I applaud you. Star Wars, you still got it. Don't let anybody tell you you don't still have it because you do. You still got it. You just have to care enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude, great way to wrap up everything. And um, I know you said you hadn't had time to get to it yet, but literally the next morning, so I went out of town. That's the first thing I did when I got in the car on the road, is I watched all of Rogue One. And it hit like crack. It hit like crack, dude, after watching Andor, and it literally like leads in directly, after the events of the final episode of Andor. I mean, that's the mission he's going to when he flies out.
Yep.
And then you find him in Rogue One, and the rest is history. Obviously, um, I don't know. I mean, we loved Rogue One when it came out, but I promise you, when you rewatch it, I don't know when the last time you watched it was, you were gonna love it even more. Like knowing what you know, and just the amount of time you've spent with Mon Mothma and Organa, and some of these other small characters that show up in Rogue One, and Ben Mendelsohn's character. Um, just small little things like that. Like it just makes it so much more worthwhile and so much more meaningful. Um, and yeah, dude, that's like you said, this is what Star Wars needs to do.
Yeah.
Um, you can still do stories during this timeline without making it all about the Skywalkers or
Right.
Jedi. There was not a single lightsaber in the whole show, which you know, we love lightsaber stuff, but it was so cool that it was just much more grounded, and, it was more of a political thriller more than anything. So,
Correct. Yep.
um, very, very good season of TV. I'm very much going to miss watching that every week. I don't know what our next Star Wars show is going to be. We'll just kind of have to see, but God, I hope they keep Gilroy on or do something up to this caliber again. Um, it is just it's unreal, and I'm excited to see like your text whenever you text me after you watch Rogue One, because it just hits different. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it sucks that it's over, but we're glad it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unreal season of television. Um, Other than like that, kind of a slower second arc. Other than that, like the whole show is just so good.
Hmm.
So good. So, um, shout out Star Wars and Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna and the whole rest of the cast. They made a piece of art, and I hope it gets. I mean, I don't think it's going to win anything, unfortunately. Maybe like best visual effects or something, but I hope they like get the recognition they deserve. All of them, literally all of the side characters, everybody, they were all so good. So, yeah, so that is Andor. Um, what's our next like big show? Obviously, the studio finale's next week. I think Stick comes out soon, starts
Yeah, we
showing,
got Stick and the Bear and Ironheart. So
and Ironheart, and The Last of Us is getting close to wrapping
that's
up.
all in like the next month. So
Yeah, we're both behind on Last of Us. Just been super busy, and I've heard not great things about the last couple of episodes, but we'll just have to see. We'll get to it all eventually, but um, yeah. So that's all of our TV shows for the week. We're gonna miss you, Andor, Star Wars. Give us something good again soon, please.
thank uh,
Um, so yeah, that's all the TV, and now we got a movie review from Landon, a little solo interview, um, for Final Destination Bloodlines, the newest, latest installment of the Final Destination franchise. Obviously, I have not seen it yet. I do not care whatever you say. I mean, I've seen some stuff about like what some of the deaths are or whatever, but the Final Destination movies are like one of my favorite horror franchises. They're so like we've talked about in previous weeks, like they're so like you feel like some of that stuff could happen, which makes it so much scarier. And it makes you like look at things differently for the rest of your life, like the log truck or like gymnastics or whatever it may be. So it's very unique in that aspect and very cool to see that they did another one. So yeah, take it away. I'm excited to see what you think. I know overall it has been getting
yeah,
like
very good
really good
review.
reviews and it made a ton of money,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
money. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the reviews are great, and I was actually shocked because I feel like the Final Destinations aren't known for their high ratings. Um, I'll start by saying this. I'm not gonna give like too many spoilers away, because I think there's some stuff you probably haven't seen that you kind of want to, see on your own. And I'm not gonna spoil the movie for my friend because I'm a nice person. So I'll start by this. So going in, you have so many iconic deaths in the Final Destination franchise, like coming off the top of my head, just like the gymnastics scene, or the log truck scene, or the escalator scene, and if you've seen them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to say anything else, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the suntan bed scene, you know exactly what I mean. Um, this movie. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I'm not as big on like I'm not as high as the reviews are. I will say that. I do think that it's like overall wise that it's as good as some of the other ones, but I think there's some things that lack in this, and I'll kind of get into it. But basically, in this movie, you know the premise, obviously, so I can kind of go on this. But the main character, I don't even remember her name because I don't remember any characters' names in the Final Destination movies. So if you hate me, screw you, because why do you remember names? But basically, the main character is a granddaughter of somebody who had a premonition, and in the Final Destination movies, they have premonitions. And this girl basically saved a bunch of people at the beginning of the movie that, of course, were meant to die. And Death doesn't like when you mess with his plans. So, she is a descendant, and of course, if her grandmother was meant to die, she's not supposed to exist. And basically, we find out that because of her grandmother being alive, that the rest of her bloodline hasn't been seeked out by death yet. Her grandmother has kind of survived this whole time, and I'm not going to give that away. Do you know? You probably don't know how she survives, but basically she's been surviving, and it goes down the line of the bloodline, basically going from oldest to the youngest. But it spares people who are not like if you married in, it would spare the person that you married, basically. But your kids, of course, being a bloodline, you would be next. Um, and she's trying to figure out, best way to stop it or different ways to stop it. And we get a good little last performance from Tony Todd, which he kind of
RP.
I don't know if you've seen, but he actually gives a really, really good message kind of in his little, basically saying that you want to enjoy life while you have it. And that kind of hit me in the theater because I was like, wow, that sucks. I mean, now I want to cry during a Final Destination movie. But no, he does have a little scene which I think he was good in. And he does give, even like you can learn something from a Final Destination movie. Enjoy life, live it while you have it, and don't be afraid of death because it's coming. Everyone dies. So basically that's like the whole premise of the movie. First off, I want to say this: the first 15 to 20 minutes, maybe it's 25, I don't know. I hated. I despised it, hated it. It is a CGI slop fest with no good visuals and bad acting. It's bad, like really bad. I hated it. Um, Even like the scene where everything starts to go wrong, look, it just looks bad. And I don't remember the other Final Destination movies looking bad. Even their deaths, like we the fact that you can make a gymnastic person like contort like that and their bones go everywhere, it didn't look this bad. And maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Even the log like scene that I remember looked pretty good. This looks awful, like really bad. And that goes for a lot of the deaths in the movie. They just look like a slushy. And it just sucks because I don't remember it being like that. There's a lot of deaths in this movie that are kind of like I said, they just look bad. They don't look realistic. And I know the movie is not supposed to be realistic, guys. I get that. But like the other Final Destination movies didn't look bad. And that's kind of the point I'm making. This one looked really bad at the beginning, and most of the deaths did. So that was kind of my biggest complaint with this movie, is because knowing what the other ones have offered me, like death wise, these were not good. Like looking wise. As for the deaths, look, I'm gonna rate it on like how shock factor the deaths are. We have seen some crazy deaths in Final Destination, and there might be one or two in this movie that kind of even somewhat get to like that shock value. A lot of them are predictable, and I know that they foreshadow stuff in the other ones, but a lot of these are very predictable, and you kind of figure out how they're gonna do it. There's even a stupid one that kind of like they give away and basically explain what's gonna happen beforehand in the middle of the movie, which I didn't like because I think the fun stuff about the Final Destination movies is like how the hell is this even gonna kill somebody? And that's what makes the other ones fun. There's one or two that I think were good, but a lot of them I didn't like was like, oh wow, or like that shock value. I didn't get it. And maybe I'm just so watered down from the other ones, but I don't think that's the case because I don't remember that for the last one. The acting is, I mean, it's a Final Destination movie. There are two likable characters that I think do a good job, but other than that, there's not. And the story just wasn't my favorite. I don't know if I really liked the whole bloodline thing. I liked the concept, but I don't think they did it like well. Um, and I think you'll kind of understand what I mean when you see it. But I don't think it's like awful. I just don't think it's like as high as other people are making it out to be. I'm so glad that they're getting people to the theater. I really want that. I've always wanted that. But in my opinion, though, like the deaths look so bad at some points, and they look so like CGI slushy. You know what I'm talking about? Like it looks like a mess. And I think that's a cheap way to do your deaths sometimes. So that just in the first like 20 minutes, man, the acting is so bad that like I can't even sit through it. Hey buddy, I know. Um Shit. Okay, he's bothering me. But anyways, yeah, like there's some parts that just look really bad. There's even one that like I'm like I don't think that would even like your body would look like that. Like that's not what would happen. But I mean, I'm just being nitpicky, but compared to the other ones, like I just remember some of the deaths like looking good. You're like, "Oh shit, like that's crazy." Like I could, and there was a lot more like I'll give this way, there's a lot more exploding deaths in this one. And I think what makes the other one so great is that your body doesn't explode. Like you kind of see a lot of it. Like we get the bathroom scene where he like chokes around the wire. We get the gymnastic scene, like I said. We get the log like or the where you get the jaws of life and the log goes like through her face or his face or whatever. So I think this one's like kind of cheap that way because then you can just cop it out and be like, okay, well, we don't have to show anything of the body, right? Like that happens probably 5 times in this movie, and you're like, that's cheap. But I mean, I'm probably being a little bit too critical, but I do like the other ones for their shock value and for like ones that kind of make you go, ooh, like that's like makes me kind of tense up or it be realistic. I think it just lacks some of that in this one. And again, like the acting's not very like great, which isn't Final Destination, but even then, like they're not that bad. So I give it 3 stars on Letterboxd. So it's a lot lower than a lot of other people. And I think I'm gonna give it like right at a 6. I'm gonna put it at 6.0. It's nothing. I don't think it's as high as a 9. I don't think the story is anywhere near that good to be a 9. And like I said, some of the CGI stuff just pissed me off so much that I think it's a cheap way out. And some of them were just kind of like predictable and almost like I said, one of them's explained. But other than that, though, I mean, if you want a Final Destination movie and you want to see like gruesome deaths and like just kind of be like that would never happen, like what are the odds of that happening? You're gonna enjoy this movie. If you like the other ones, I think you'll like this one. And a lot of people who I've seen on Twitter who like the other Final Destinations like this one. So, like I said, 3 stars, 6.0. Nothing too crazy. It wasn't my favorite by any means, but definitely watchable.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'll be there. I'm going to check it out tomorrow for discount day. So um, I'm excited to check it out and kind of see and compare. I haven't watched the old ones in a long, long time, but yeah. So that's Final Destination Bloodlines. Thank you, Will, for doing your homework and going to see that. Um, and then just to kind of lead into the ending, so I watched the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning this week to prepare for the new one, and then today on the way home I actually rewatched the first one.
Oh, nice.
Um, Brother, I'm amped. I'm amped for this new movie. I'm amped for Mission Stitch next week. I'm seeing it on Friday. I got my ticket. I think you're seeing it Thursday.
I am. Thursday at
Um,
3.
Mission Stitch is officially a go.
Can't wait.
Next time you hear from us, that will probably be our biggest episode up until this point. And we're very, very excited to talk about that. We'll talk about the studio finale and whatever other shows and trailers and stuff that we get. But yeah, Mission Stitch next week. You need to freaking watch Dead
Dead
Reckoning
Reckoning
before
Wednesday
Thursday.
night. I've already got it planned.
Mm,
Cannot wait.
I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure. But yeah, so yeah, do your little outro. You're the pro.
We appreciate you watching, boys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. Helps grow our channel. Comment anything you want us to review. We're open to anything. We will literally watch anything. Um, so y'all have been killing it when we actually upload shorts and TikToks. We've been so busy lately. We are sorry. We are gonna get back to that this week. We'll have TikToks, we'll have shorts and everything like that. Follow us on Twitter for, we're gonna be tweeting out trailers, and then of course follow our Twitters and letterboxes for like personal reviews that we do. I might be going to see Hurry Up tomorrow, or when y'all are watching this today, maybe if I have time. Thought about doing that. But other than that, we appreciate you guys watching 20 episodes in. Next episode is Mission Stitch. Cannot wait. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be freaking awesome. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next one, episode 21. Peace.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to trust.
About to trust.